Hello, hello. Hi everyone. I think it's been really long a while since I do my live stream. Um, but still I'm quite happy that everyone still turned out. I mean, at least we have a few people turning out. Hi James. And hi Brad. And I'm guessing Clint. Hello. Hi Won Jong. Hi, nice to meet you. So, really, it's been a while. Um, eh, yeah, I even start to be a bit speechless. Hi, Mitch. Um, as in, yeah, it's been really a while since I do live stream and any videos, and um, definitely I hope to come back to this vibe. For the past few weeks, I have things to do over weekends. Been visiting like my in-laws as well as my family. And also like at work right now, you probably had heard a lot of layoffs and stuff like that. Well, yeah. So I think my office has been asking us to go back to work from office and now starting to travel every day seems to after work feels very tired, so don't even I haven't even start making any videos for the past few weeks. Um so um yeah, so I hope that this video, hello, this way we are going to start. At least I do some contents about Svelte, and um hopefully this starts to build up the momentum and start giving me back the energy to start making videos again. And yeah, hopefully, I've been haven't been writing Svelte component for a while. Hopefully, I can still remember what we are doing, what we have done so far. Let me share my screen. This, I believe, with this is the Excel sheet clone that we are building so far over the past. Let's see, what is? I think this is weekend number 6, right? So we have been building for the past 5 weekends, over a course of a few months, and I think let us show off what we have. For people who are new, we able to do. We have some simple menu bar, okay, and then we have a um we can click on arrow keys to go up and down. I think there's one of the episodes. What we have done is we figure out we try to add event listeners on the keyboard so that we can move the cursor up and down. And then also as we're moving, we actually can we scroll to such that the cell is always in the view. And then I think the last weekend, or the last video, the live stream that we have, where I think it was a few weeks ago, we built we work on this one, right? So if I change this to say um, G11, then I jump to the cell G11. Or if I change over here, you can see this updates as well. And then I think over here you can also edit your formula. So for example, if I say 12, I hit enter, then you can see 12 over here. If I come over here and type 18, then you can see it's updated as well. And lastly is that you can type K15, no, 14 plus K15, enter, and then you get a, a sum. Okay. I think right now we treat it as string. That's why it's a bit weird. But if you try to make minus, then we still it will work. And we treat it as, I mean, in JavaScript, if you minus two strings together, that is like a number. I think it will try to coerce it into numbers, and then you get a nice minus over here, right? Unless you are trying to type in some characters, then you probably get a nan, not a number. That's what we have done so far over the past few live streams. And today, I think we're going to focus a bit more on the UX, in particular, like making this whole editing experience much better, right? So probably a lot of small things, tiny details, and we're gonna just polish it up, right? So how it works is probably if you try to open a Google Sheets and you try to move around and try. I mean, I personally, I'm someone who is a big fan of a lot of keyboard shortcuts. For example, I will hit like I will move my mouse around, cursor around, and I probably like to let's see. I probably like to say, for example, type something and then hit enter. So this small little detail, or if I come over to this cell and I hit the delete key, it should delete. Things like that. Yeah, right now they are not working, right? If I hit enter, it's not going in. If I hit delete, it's not doing anything. So small things like this is like the devil's is in the details. Is really important to build a nice UX. So yeah, let's slowly polishing them out, right? Um, let's see over here. This is the code that we have so far. We kind of structured this over um we have like action bar, formula bar, menu bar, and then I think the main thing is still in the suites, this cell. Let's see. Almost forget what we have so far. But I think mostly is in this. Most of the things that we need to work on is in the suites, um, where we have all the key bindings over here. Okay. So the suite is the sheet itself, and then the menu bar is the top menu bar. You have the formula bar, which is this formula bar inside. You probably will see the left and the right, right? Things like that. So I think let's open up the suite, and we're gonna probably add more events, listeners, and then polish things up. Okay. So if you're curious where you can find this code, it's gonna be on my GitHub account slash vids, right? Tan Hao Hao slash vids. And it is here. I think I try to push every one commit per live stream. I did merge some people's MR, which is yeah, thank you very much for fixing some of those things. Yeah, anyway, let's get back to it and let's see the first thing we're gonna do. Let's see. Clint. Okay, so I have a few questions over here so far. I think Clint was asking, what do you work with, technologies and such. Unfortunately, at my company, we have started. Actually, if you look, I mean, I'm currently working at Shopee, and if you look at our job portal, open position, which we probably are hiring freeze right now. But if you're able to find the previous job description, you probably will realize that we are hiring for React developers. We use React. I mean, we started this front end project way before Svelte was popular or Svelte is an option. So, well, we just stay on with what we have so far. Yep. Anyway, let's see. I think the first thing I want to work on is make some small changes to fix up some of these small details first, right? I think the first thing I kind of want to do is the delete key. I think delete key is something I wanna work on, right? So here, let's see. If I come over here, I think I probably will need to see what are the keys, right? So key and value. Okay, let's see. So inspect. Okay, console. Okay, so if I hit delete key, then this is a backspace, right? Or your backspace key on Windows. I think they are called backspace. So I'm gonna handle that backspace, backspace, and then what should I do? Um, I kind of almost forget what we have done so far. Okay, we have active cell, which is the which let gives us the row and column of the current cell that is active, right? And I believe to find the cell itself, it's gonna go to the suite, right? To switch, and then we get the value. Um, let's see, switch the, yeah, and then we get the cell name, right? So cell name is based on the column name and row index. Huh? Yeah, right. So it's a map. I think we should improve on this one. Let's see. Let's fit get set. Yeah, I feel that we have been trying to speeds dot sets. Every time when we're trying to set value, we kind of have to um, find the column name, find the row index, and then set the value, right? Because fit is a map. Okay. Then anyway, let's get back here. I think we need to do that as well. Let's find this, copy this line out. Um, where are we? Okay, over here. So I believe what we need is we're gonna find where we are active cell, column, and we find the active row, and then we are going to set the value. We're gonna get the value, get the cell, and hold on, cell. Huh. I think now it's important that we kind of have some type checking, or else right now I kind of almost forget what we have so far, what are each of the members and stuff, right? There's no hinting, it's bad. So let's do that. So here, active cell switch, this current switch is nothing, right? Context returns anything and it's not returning anything for us. So I think we should define what is in this context. So where we're gonna set this context, we're gonna find a place to set the type. Sets context here. All right, this is the context. Let's try and create. We have a file called active types. So here we're gonna create the type called the switch context. And then active cell is a writable cell. Oops, writable. Right? So it's a writable column number. Row is a number. Okay. And then unswitch. It's a what you call the create switch. Imports type. Okay, so this one, let me figure that later on. Here we have number, here we have number, and then create switch. What is create switch? Here, here returns an object that has a switch, number of rows, number of columns. Actually, it's the same. Okay, so here maybe we have another type export type switch. Switch switch object. No, I'm gonna call switch. This one gives us a map string, string and then a cell, right? So we're gonna have a type called cell, switch cell, and this gives us a row column formula, right? Row column formula. Row is a number. So this one should switch cell. Okay, so let's see. Row number, wait, writable. Hold on. Switch. Okay, where is this switch cell? Oh, okay. I think I already have this. Let's move this away and move it over here. Sweet cell. Okay. Right. Sweet cell. Oh. Great sweet cell. Okay. So sweet is this thing, this object. Create sweet. Hold on, let me close this. So we have a sweet cell, this thing, and then this is the sweet, and then this is what returns from create sweets, right? Okay, I think that's nice. And let's get back to annotate what we have. I think here is when you get context, this is a sweet one. Language is TypeScript. Okay, sweet context. Import from. Oops, I think we can import from here. Right, so active cell, current suites, okay, and then we have all these things, which is great. Now I think we have our we have our syntax, our code completion. So now once we get the cell, I think what we need is to clear the formula. So the formula dot set to empty string. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's try and see. So here, if I try to type something, and then if I try to hit the delete key, oh, the formula is, we clear the formula, but we didn't update the, okay. So you set this, and then you need to stop edit. You need to call, okay, formula. Oops. Stop editing. True. I think because previously we have this thing where we can update the value of the formula, right? So for example, you type, we update the value of the formula, but if you hit escape key, it actually will stop editing, but then will clear the content. So if I right now, if I just set the value, it's useless. We need to actually also save it to true. So if I hit, wait, if I hit, then I clear, and then also have to save. I think maybe we can also pass this as a second. Let's see. Um, as the second parameter of the sets, then it's much easier. We don't have to do it twice, right? I think here we can say stop editing, right? I think this is what we let's see if I say stop editing boolean equals to false. If stop editing this dot stop. Okay, so save value. Something on this and see whether it works. Or this okay. Do it like this, then this is the yeah, what is this? Okay, I think a bit complex. complicated. Let's see. Um, yeah, formula. Okay, let me create a store. Formula store equals to this thing. Okay. The reason is I want to see whether I can just call the sets directly. Um, rather than call the sets and then I think better not to overload the thing. I think I should call a different methods. But nonetheless, we still have to have a way to call the set and stop editing one after another, right? So probably and then so to do that, I will probably will have to say after say for example, if I have a method called set value, right? Say for example, I have value string, um, for example, right? Then I will probably want to do this dot sets value and this dot stop editing um true. Actually, yeah, something like this. I could do this, or I could create this object as separately, like something like here. Yeah, and then I instead of this, I can refer back to formula store, right? So it's either way. Um, yeah, you so that you can recursively refer to yourself. I think this is okay. Let's keep it like this first. Um, value this dot set. This is kind of okay. I think what we need is here, instead of doing writable, let's see, we have sets up subscribed, stop editing, start editing. Yeah, so I think it's not actually a writable. Let's make it the correct type. We have set, which is a value string, and then void. Um, and then we have a subscribe, which is I think a writable string subscribe, right? I think we have this. Yep. And then we have set value. Should I make set value and sets the same thing? Set value. Yeah, I think we can. I think right now let's just do combine first. Save boolean. So here I have this thing, save, and if save, then I'm gonna call stop editing with the save is true. Okay, something like this. So here, in my suites, I can say sets this value and then save as well. And it's since as a writable store, you have one method which is the set, which has only one parameters, which is just a string. I think we can pass in one more thing. Um, should be okay if you are not doing anything with it, unless it's doing something I don't know. Okay, anyway, let's save and try and see. So I can type something. And then I can hit delete, and then yeah, I delete now. Uh, so the thing is, if you're familiar with Excel sheets, next thing that you probably will realize is that if you try to go on one cell and then you try to type, immediately it enters the editing mode, and then immediately you can edit the thing, right? And if you hit enter, it goes to the next cell. And over here, if you come back and you try to type something again, it immediately goes in and sets the value and then make it like editing mode again. So now we kind of don't have that. It feels a bit weird, and you have to enter is not working. You have to double click and then go in. So I think we need a way to actually um, change this cell to be like editing mode, like start editing mode, and then start typing something. That we can immediately type something, right? So um let's see. So here, I think we, as long as we are, yeah, I think as long as we are in any, as long as we key in um, any characters, right? Let's see what characters we can type. Any characters we can type should be okay. Enter probably not. Shift maybe not, right? Yeah, caps tabs a bit weird. No. Um, okay, so probably all the characters, numbers. So I think we probably will need to find a regular expressions to do that for us. Or maybe let's see. I think maybe a cheat is that it's always one characters, right? A to Z, any characters that you can type is always one characters key. Um, if you have a backspace, enter, arrow key, shift key, what else? Caps locks? No, caps locks no change. Control key, option key, meta key, escape key. I think they are all multiple characters, right? So I guess maybe in here as default, if the key events.key dot length equals to 1, then we are going to enter the mode, the editing mode. So what we can do is, okay, let's see, how do we go into be the editing mode of the Svelte cell. From the cell, we can say, let's see, is there a method that we can actually do? We can double click autofocus, finish editing, active, double click, click select, double click. We need to change the mode, right? We need to change the mode of the of here, and this mode is actually a local state within the cell. Hold on, this one need to change the mode of the cell. So we probably need to figure a way to get this cell that's the active, which the current active cell points to. Need to find that cell component and then figure a way to change the mode. So one way is you able to find that and then you change that. So I think that to go to that direction, you probably will have to go to the switch. Let's see, do we bind any cell? Right? We need to in this cell, you need to see where you need to able to bind this and find like the reference of this cell component, and then call some methods to do something, right? So maybe here you have to export some methods, say for example export function, um, edit, something like that. And then, so you find the reference of this component, call the function to do the editing to change the mode to something. That's one way. Or alternatively, in a different way, would be maybe, so sorry. So this way is more of like a direct approach, right? It's a more coupled direct approach where you find you do this instruction, but you do this, you find a cell component, and then you do some call its methods and do something. So you kind of have to know what methods is available for this component. First is you need to find able to have a way to record all the references of the components, each cell components instance. And then secondly is that each cell component, the methods has to be like uh cannot simply change those methods. You have to keep aware of them, because if I one day I change edits to something else, then you will have to change your code everywhere that has a reference to this component, and then you change the method name, right? That's something you would have to do. An alternative approach is that we can decouple this a bit by basically says that um, by create some events system. For example, I can over here whenever I want to edit something, then I make some dispatch some actions, right? Trigger some actions that, oh, something has happened. And for this cell over here, I think all the cells listens to the event, and then whenever this event says you need to edit my cell, then I flip and turn on the edit mode, right? So in that case, for example, if I hypothetically has a event that I can listen to, say, uh, edit my cell, my edit cell, event, right? So now in that case, we can actually call whatever function we have. It doesn't really matter, right? So of course, you still have something that you need to agree upon with, right? So previously is if you export this function, you agree upon the function name. On the other way is like, um, the one the you flip this order the other way around, where this fits define all the events that they will um, create, they will dispatch, and then the listen this cell itself has the control about what to do when any events happen, right? So it's the other way around, right? So the first approach is you define something, and then you tell the switch component that, okay, these are all the methods that you can call, right? You do it for us. And we to flip it the other way around is your switch define all the events that will happen, and then I decide what I will do to handle those things. So there's no right or wrong, which is a better approach. It's really up to you, right? Depends on how you want to design this thing. um so personal For me, I think for now I want to try maybe set up maybe some sort of events, and then I can listen to events, and then I can dispatch events, right? So I in the suites I can dispatch all sorts of events, and then all the components inside can handle those events um, in a an independent manner, right? So um, let me think. In a way, this could be a bit haphazard, by basically when you do something in the suites, you have one centralized place to listen to all the keys, right? That on all the keys that users has been performing on this Google Sheets, this suites components, but you don't have the um, you transform it and then dispatch a different events, right? You process and then dispatch another event, but you have no control about what will actually happen when different components is on the screen, right? So maybe, yeah, you don't really have that centralized control about all the how each components will respond. um that's like a cons for that, for doing the event based approach. But the cons for doing a centralized approach, where you get all you have all the references and you do things, is that then you also have to make sure that in certain scenarios, maybe responsive scenarios, or maybe a light version or something like that, uh live version of this feeds, you have to keep track of them, and then keep track of all the different components um that is on the screen, and then you call different methods there is, right? You have to have this global kind of knowledge. Of course, that is more controlled, more coupled, right? So um can't you, I think, can't you send message back? Yeah, I think when you send yeah, you can send message both ways. Sorry, I don't I think there's a delay on the live stream. I'm not sure um what was the context when you type this message. I a bit forget. Yeah, but yeah, I think you can send message back to reply or something. Um Let me wait for you for a while answering another question. How is the work-life balance like in Shopee? Um, well, I can only give you a official. I don't want to say good or bad things about a company. My company. I think I definitely will say good things about it, and even I say good things, you may not trust me. If I say bad things, I don't want to say bad things about my company, right? So, all I can say is that there's a lot of teams in this company, and the work culture, work life balance, team culture is it's not homogeneous, right? Some teams maybe sometimes they have more things to work on. Some other teams maybe they work on slightly um, side features or things that exploration features. Then maybe their timeline, their pace is a bit different. So it really depends from team to team. And yeah, we do appreciate all the hard work everyone pull off their weight to in the company, right? Yeah, a bit a bit politically correct, but yeah, that's it. Um, anyway, let me see. So here, I'm gonna dispatch an events, right? And actually, you can build your own event system, um, or you could also you can this. Hold on, I think I see replies now. You can dispatch an event to a child, but you can't. You can and you can dispatch an event back. If you need the two-way decoupled communication, maybe it's difficult to dispatch an event. Maybe it's difficult to dispatch an event on a parent. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think it really depends on how this event communication works, right? There's one way is it's a I think first of all, events when events are happening, they are one way. Okay, usually when you design an event, it's one way, right? And of course, um, even if you say your even if you say like your internet HTTP request, it's actually one way messaging. Like you send a message on one way, and then of course you kind of remember what is you kind of wait for the message to come back, right? But wait, sorry, when I say one way, it's more of like um you you kind of know this is your response because you have some sort of uh you remember some sort like you have some sort of request ID and things like that where actually I'm not very sure. I think you quoted a wrong example. But anyway, it the in this case in all I think in like a message system like we have you dispatch events, it doesn't really when you dispatch events, if your messaging system is like a global one rather than like a channel that you have from parent to child, then actually you can go either ways. Everyone is listening to every events in the world, and you don't have a target event target elements. A Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm talking about now. Okay, hold on. So events, when you have events, there's you can have um I think you can categorize it in a lot of ways. One dimension that you can take a look at is a specific channel, a one channel, or a broadcast message, right? Broadcast means you can broadcast to everyone. So for specific channels, then probably you have to set up a channel first. Maybe whether it's a sibling, parent, whatever it is, what's the hierarchy it is. You have two places, set up a channel first, and then you have a single channel, and then you send message across, right? So, for example, if you have like a server client kind of hierarchy, you set up a channel first, right? You use your TCP, you do some handshake, then you have a channel established, then you can have message sending across, right? And in our case, if you are using um, a yeah, you in this case probably I guess that's what you're referring to. Maybe to set up the parent and child, you can set up something in the parent, and then you pass that channel to the children. Then you have a parent child channel. Then you can send message um, to each another, right? So once you set that up, then it's actually a um, yeah, you can have it two ways. The other thing is a broadcast message where you broadcast events to everyone. Then in that case, then you just listen to all the events and you broadcast message to everyone, right? So in that case, you don't really know, like you just receive a message and you have to figure out a way to know, like, okay, whether this message is a response of the previous message you just sent out. And so you probably have to do something, maybe record some request ID, things like that, right? Yeah, but it's doable, I think. Yeah, it just depends on how you're gonna design it. I feel like I've been rambling a bit. I'm not even sure answer your questions. Anyway, let's get back over here. So here I need to dispatch an event, right? I'm gonna do a broadcast message. I'm gonna send to everyone. I don't really know who I'm sending to, who is listening to this event. I'm gonna just broadcast it. And I can set up my own event systems and then create that, and then use that to send like a broadcast message. I could also use the built-in web APIs to do that. There's a message channel API. Let's see, I think window message channel API that allows you to do messaging. Okay. um that is one way. And so the way you do is you can go to window.post message. So window in um, window what's that? I think window has this oh yeah, message channel. Whenever release a message, I think we don't have to set up a message channel to send a channel to, because this is for iframe. I actually not really sure much. I think, but with window post message, I think it's we don't have to pass the third parameter, like the transfer, like the channel itself. I think we just send and we are on the same window scope. We can just listen to it as well, right? Let's try. So I'm gonna send maybe Svelte. I'm gonna namespace it so that it's unique to my application. So I'm gonna say Svelte with a colon. I mean, any character will do. I'm just gonna call it colon, and then gonna call a edit cell. And here, let's see. Yeah, here maybe I can just do a kebab case. No, let me see. Click. Uh, I think most events on click on mouse up, mouse down, they don't have a case. Maybe they looks like this, but a bit hard to read. Maybe I just do a kebab case here like this, and then maybe I'm gonna send some uh let's see. Do I am I able to send some data? No. Post message. Okay. I think this one is any post message. Okay. Okay. So here I'm gonna say type. This one again, it's really up to us to define the schema. Later you'll see what this is. Okay, and here, and then I'll come over here, maybe some data. Say for example the current cell. Okay, the current cell. Okay, something like this. And then let's see, on the other hand, I can say window.add event listener. So when I post message, then I listen to a message event. I'm gonna console log the message. The event, sorry. Okay, let's save. Let's come back and let's try and uh, hit something. And then I really see a lot of events being console log because every cell is listening to this. Every cell will receive the message because every cell is adding add event listeners. And then over here, if you look at the events, you see that the data is what we dispatch out, right? When you post message, and then this is actually the data. Okay, so the data itself, if you have a type and then a cell. So what we can do is actually in here, when we listen, we can say if event data um, dot type events data type equals to Svelte edit cell, and we know what we are listening to, and then we know that probably will have data dot the cell. And so we need to check whether this cell is actually equals to the current cell that we have. So dot row, oh, sorry, we uh, cell equals to this one. So if cell dot row equals to the row and cell dot column equals to the column, then we're gonna say maybe we start editing, right? So to start editing is the same as when you do double click over here. Uh-huh. So I think I'm gonna copy this function out. Um, okay, double click if mode display mode, start editing. Actually, you don't have this, right? So here I'm gonna change this to a function, editing. It's two over here, and then here I'm gonna start editing. Let's see whether it works. Here, if I come, oops, sorry about that. I just blocked them. I don't know what is happening. Anyway, um, if I come over here and if I try to type something, I think immediately I go into the editing mode, right? And then start typing. The only thing is that if I here, if I hit W, then I start editing, but then I don't see anything until I start typing the next character, right? So that's not that great. And over here also a lot of message events. I think I need to refresh the page, and because I add event listeners over here, right? So one thing I need to do is that whenever I listen to something on window, I think or on within a component, one thing you need to take care is that you need to unlisten when you don't need or when the cell changes or removes, right? And that happens during hot reloading as well, right? When you have this cell on the screen, and then later on you change something, then it actually compiles to a different column, then uh, a different component, then the previous component that's on the screen when you have hot reloading should be destroyed, right? So you need to also do that as well. So you need the on mounts to also remove them as well, or else you have multiple uh, event listeners that's actually running on the screen, on the on yeah on your page. If you only listens when you create a component. So here is the on message. Here on message. Let's see. Gonna return window.remove event listener message on message. Events. This one is the message event, I think. Okay, let's save this. Yeah. Anyway, let's refresh this page. I think it's quite clean now in the console, right? And even if I try to add maybe a console log here, okay, so here if I try something, you see all the question marks. But if I remove this, now type something again, you don't see them anymore because we do remove event listeners when you when during hot reloading you actually unmount this original component, the old component on the screen, and mount a new one after the new that just being bundled, right? So if you do this cleanup, then it's great. You don't have the old code, old event listeners being running on the background. So here, I think it's kind of okay that we able to do this now. The only thing is that when you hit something, it enters the editing mode, but then you didn't start um you didn't start you didn't edit this cell value with it. I think probably what we need to do is maybe passing the trigger. Uh, the trigger key, I think, something like this. Also, I think we whenever we hit any one character, let's see if I console log here. Feels like every time we something, even if I enter, this is still being run, right? I think we only want to trigger an edit cell if current active input element, there's no current input active element, something like this. Okay, so here maybe we can add a console log editing. So if I type something and then you don't see this being called out again, right? I think previously, if I don't have this, if I don't have that, then the start editing is being keep being called, which is kind of annoying. This one. Okay, so we need to only trigger when we don't have a current active elements inputs. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's kind of clean. Here we start editing. I think we also know the trigger key. So the trigger key, we probably will also can, what we can do is we're gonna get this cell dot uh we can set the value, right? The after we hold on, where are we? Okay, we start editing and then we can also update the cell dot formula what are sets the events data trigger key, right? So whenever you editing, you enter the edit mode, you immediately resets the formula value with the trigger key, right? So for example, over here when I add, hey, hold on, the sets cell formula cell is a fit cell. Oh, this cell is this cell. Okay, okay, okay. I think we need to change a bit. This is the row and no. Um okay, I just gonna copy this thing first. Let's see whether it works. So formula set. Okay, correct. So here, if I hit, okay, if I move here, if I hit K, enter the editing mode, and then I'm typing K immediately, right? And if I come over here and hit P, and then I reset, clear, I enter editing mode, I have P on the screen. Yeah, which is great. So here, if I type something, immediately when I hit enter, I'm over. Sorry, whenever I come in and type something, I can immediately type it, which is I think a great experience that you have when you are editing, when you are here when you sorry when you yeah, I think one of the UX that you have in Excel sheet, when you can go into any cell and then hit the uh kids the character and then you start typing. One thing is, let's see. Okay. Next thing is that um, let's see. Once next thing is that when you type, no, I think when you type, when you hit enter, it actually goes down, right? So now enter we actually unfocused, which is great, but then we didn't go down one cell. We have a cell. So we probably have to figure a way to actually go down one cell, right? I think here we could. I feel like we could make this work. It's just that sooner or later we kind of have quite a bit of mess about all the events that we're gonna, all the logics that we have and everywhere. Right now we will have two key down events. One is when the key down event when you are editing within the cell, right? Which is nice. It's just right besides you. Um, yeah, but then you have two key down events. Nothing wrong about it. It's just that probably now over here locally you don't have a bird's eye view of the current position of your cell cursor. So of course we have that in the context. You can of course get the context and then call some method, do something about it, or you can also trigger events to to can trigger some events to what's that? Yeah, you can trigger an event to update. So here we can listen to a child events that's coming out from the streets. Um, yeah, that's of course what we can do as well. Um, let's see. Window post message. We got the suites, current suites. This suites, what you have is a cell, number of rows, number of columns. Hey, where's the active? Oh, active cell is here, right? Active cell for each current suites. Hmm. I feel like we are building things bottom up. We kind of didn't really design this well in the data structure. Active cell should be part of current suites, right? If you think about it, every current suite is designed to probably be the current suite. Later on, we have multiple types, then you have multiple suites. Then the formula that you see is actually depends on which current suite you have. And as you say, for example, if you come over here, you cursor is in here, and you switch to a new suite, the cursor is back here. But if you switch back, this is still here, right? So it actually should be part of the current suites rather than it's separate. And then weird thing is, this one is snake case, this one is camel case. This is bad. Let's see. Let me search who is using the active cell. The suites, the types, the formula bar. Makes sense. Okay, so here I think I need to change this a bit. The Here we can start with, okay, here we can start with uh removing this one. The current switch should be camel case, right? So let's do a global replace. Let me see whether is there anything that's no, right? So replace everything. Camel case makes sense. And we create feeds. We can also create active cell, which is based on, which is a writable. Then we can switch different feeds tabs. Then each of them has its own local active cell that is active at the moment. Um, yeah. And then actually feeds. Yeah, and then actually active. Okay, I think let me fix a few things first, because right now the you can't listen to the writable saw and formula bar, right? Active cell. Let's fix this thing a bit. So now it's here. The type definition is inside here now. Um, fit context, and then formula bar. What you get here is the fit context. Now, of course, this is not there. This is part of current feeds. This one, as anytime as current feed, the current feed can't change. And yeah, the current feed is actually not will not change. It's okay. Let me keep this. But later on, current feed should be writable. We can change the current feed and listen to that. An active cell is here. I think the code works again. Wait on fine. Um, okay, here, this should be part of the active cell as well. So it's the current feed. Okay, now refresh. Everything's back normal. Okay, so go back to active cell. I think we can make it better over here. The definition of this is that should be a writable. I also have some methods to actually move up or move down. Move a. I have to move with maybe some delta x, delta y, void. So maybe it's not just a writable, you also have some methods to actually move left and right relative to where it is right now. So I can actually define this in my splits over here. So here is the active cell writable. So you can have the set is the active cell set. It is the active cell dot update. Subscribe is the active cell subscribe. And actually, you know what? You can do this as well. All right, it's the same. And then you also need to have the move method, which gives us this thing. And then to move up and down, I think we can say active cell that update. We have the current column and number row. And then we can say return column equals to column plus delta y. And then the row is the row. Okay, hold on, updates. Yeah, that's correct. x delta y. Row column is the x, that's y. This is the row. Okay, we have this method as well. Now here, I think in our cell, so we enter, we can also find the active cell from the context. And then the active cell. It's okay. I think we just access it directly. So here, so enter active cell dots, right, dot active cell. Right, and then enter is gonna be move one step down. Save this. Let's see. If I here, I hit enter, it's go down. Right. Okay, I think it's quite. It's more. It's nicer now. We can enter, 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 enter. Okay, great. Phew. So we have this. Uh, I think we still have not have the multi-select. I think that one we keep a bit first. And the next thing I want to have is that if you see sheets, Google Sheets, when you're trying to edit, in here in this editing modes, you try to type, the editing experience actually grows as you type. It just grows as you type. It grows as you. I mean, okay. See here, this is the original width, and then if you try to type more, it grows as you type, right? And there's this input box and stuff. It grows as you type. So we don't want to do that, right? That this is quite nice, right? So here, if you see us, it's like we just fix width. That's not that nice. But then you're gonna ask me like, how do you know the width? What's the width? How do you grow your inputs? Um, I think first of all, let's say assume that we know the width of the inputs is maybe um one maybe 5 pixel per character or something like that. Then what you can do is that you can have the input, right? This is your input. This is the style. Uh, input with. Oh, okay, hold on. I think the input is width is 100%, right? So it actually depends on the div width, right? Eh, I think okay. I think the width actually we can change it. Um, let's see if I try to change the width, style width. Then if I know, I probably will say this is the length of the value that I'm editing, length times maybe just now I say 5, maybe more. I need maybe 10. Uh, pixel, right? 10 pixel. Okay, you see, if I type as I type, it grows in size, right? Depends on how much I have, but it's a bit weird. The looks is a bit weird. Because the width actually, the border we have, actually it needs to be uh needs to grow as well, right? The border needs to be grow. It needs to grow together as we type. So there's two things. One is how do you know the width, how much you want. Second thing is you also need to grow the border. So the border is actually one cell. If you grow it independently, then if you grow this, then maybe because you would have to make it. If I grow this border, right? If this is the border, if I try to grow this, let's see how it looks like. If I try to do this, then it kind of work. But then each of them, okay, don't have anything. So here my border, uh, okay, I maybe do this. So here, if I'm editing mode, this one. If not, I'm the unset. I don't really set the width. The default width is this. If I try to edit, my width is more. Um, Actually, it works kind of. Right? I just need to figure out width, a nice width that I need. Of course, I need to be Z index on top so that here Z index. So as I edit, yeah, it looks nicer this way. But I guess the next thing I probably need to just figure out the width because now it kind of looks okay, right? I think because I'm using a grid layout, everything is laid out by the grid. You have your fixed width already. Now it's just that as you're editing, you can push a bit in terms of your width to go out of the current grid. That's because yeah, I think I don't really know why we can. Yeah, without affecting the width. I think because the width actually, the grid we have actually has a fixed width for everyone. So that's why even if you have one particular child that is grow beyond the grid, actually doesn't really affect it doesn't really push the grid to be bigger, like the column become bigger. So it's kind of like standalone. We just need to figure out how to have the grid to grow. Maybe not to. I think the default is to um, like the initial size, and then if it's has more characters, it should grow beyond, right? So we need to measure how much we need, and then what's the width that we need first, and then also we need to figure out like the initial size, the minimum size, that minimum width that it needs to have. To calculate the size, right? I think one easy way that you can do is actually just render this characters that you have, and then just do a calculation of the width, and then you grow with that. What I mean is that maybe you can have a span somewhere. So here maybe I'm editing, I have inputs, and also I have another span that actually keeps the same value, active edit value, like this. Save this, and if I try to change, let me, here you can see I have my span, right? And if you take a look at the span, if you try to measure, hard, let me move it out a bit. Try to put it here, okay. So if I try to look at this span, okay, it actually grows in size as you type. Here the size is wider, right? So this we have this span that it's not a display block or inline block. This is just a display inline. It has a fixed, its width is depend on the content itself. So the width itself is growing. So what we can do is every time when we type something, of course we have to ensure that this span has the same font size. The character is the same size, same font in the inputs. Now with that, we if we know that, then as we grow, we just as you type, which set the content of the span to have the same content as the input, and as the span grows, calculate the width, and then we set that width into the as a width of the inputs. Okay, so here, of course, if you what we can do is maybe you can use an action to do that. Um, yeah, you can use an action to do that, so that the setting of the width is not depending on some local variable, but like you can edit this variable directly. But I think there's multiple ways of doing it. Maybe one is a, let's see. I think first, just to prove our concept, right? So this is the measure span. Let's measure span, and then here as we type uh on edit a, so we, okay, so here as we type, we're gonna have this function over here, and we're gonna measure, right? Measure span dot um get bounding and rect dot width. We can measure this thing. Say the variable first, and then also we set it to a variable. Actually here, let me just do it immediately. Here I have the width, we default to 0. Here I can set this to this width plus a pixel, right? And then every time we edit, we calculate, we calculate the width, and then we set the width, and then also console out. Here on edit, we need to call this value every time when we change this edit value, right? So what we can do is you can uh say, this statement, this reactive statement is going to call only whenever the variables inside has changed, right? All I did is a function never change, then you only call once. What I can do is maybe have this added value somewhere within this whole statement, so that it will be, this whole statement will be called every time when the value has changed. So you can put it over here. You can also put like if, really depends on what you mean, and you can also even put this added value inside as a parameter. It's really up to you, right? I think for now we're just gonna put like here, whenever this changes, then we call on edit. And let's see, let's save this. um I think by that time on edit is not yet. I think the first time we run this, we haven't even have this measure span, this element yet, so it will throw an error. So we can check if this measure span is a variable that is already can be used, then we do things over here, right? So here, um, let's see, and so when we change, we kind of get the value, right? Um, uh, yeah, uh, which is I think which is kind of okay. Like the outline here is based on that, but it kind of grow. Um, so this, you see this purple box? It's kind of almost the same um width as the span, right? As you sorry, as you move along, right? And yeah, as you move along, but as it starts, it's kind of starts at not the right size. That's because it starts with 0, right? And actually, the when we measure this, we after this has changed, we measure it, but then we measure it first before we even update the added value or update the DOM elements when the added value changes. So what you need is that actually, maybe we make this a thing. We need to wait for the tick to happen first, and then the value will be probably correct. Here, uh, so as you type, you see that it's now measuring at the right time where it actually measures the span's width, only then updates the width, lets the dot elements being updated with the update value first, and then you measure that, and then you update the width, and then now it's kind of, the width size is kind of correct. But you see that this grows faster than the content inside, right? If you go look at sugar sheet, it's kind of the same, right? It sticks to what the input is. I think first of all, I need to copy this with to my over here as well. Anyway, what I'm saying is that you can see that it starts with very close, and as you grow, it kind of, as you type more, it grows more, right? And that's because, let's say, the font size inside the text and the outside is kind of, it's actually different. I believe it's different. So what we can do is that we can make the span and the input as the same size. So here maybe I can say this I think only has one span, right? So input and span, font size. What's the default font size that we have here? We don't even define it. I don't think it's set out at all. Oh wait, show all. Font size 16 pixels. Okay, let's set that. Okay, now you see that it's kind of the same size now. Input actually just now wasn't 16 pixels. Now it looks bigger than it was previously. And then also the input has a bit of different fonts than the outside one, right? Let me check. First of all, I think one thing we want to is that maybe we just comment this out first so that we don't finish editing as we blur. Okay, so that we can come over and focus and find the input. The font size, the font family is Arial. The font size is 16. If I don't set the font size, the default font size is 13 point something. I think which is fair enough. I think let me set all the font size to say maybe 14. And font family is the Arial. We need to be the same. So that when you measure, it's actually the same size. Uh, right? So now it's kind of the same size now. Um, because it's a bit off a bit where basically we have some padding inside this. There's some padding, 2 pixels padding, left and right, and then also some uh border, and then that's why although the width is the same, right? You can see up down it's aligned, but then it's kind of like pushing based on the padding, it pushing the content inside. So what we can do is that we can, I mean, for the div, since we are not setting any box sizing, we can maybe set a bit ugly. I think two ways. One is calculation should pass the padding. One is um I mean we kind of may set a padding, right? So here we kind of know the padding is 1 pixel, 2 pixel, right? So now what we uh no, I think this is better. Uh, define a variable padding x input padding x is 2 fonts input padding y is 1. Okay, so here what I want to do is that when we do calculation, we're gonna add input padding x times 2. Here, what we can have in the input is that style padding, input padding y plus p, uh, input padding y, input padding x, px. See, I think now looks better. I think hopefully now you see everything is inside the box, which is nice. The box is always slightly bigger than the span because you add some input paddings inside, right? Right. The yeah, we don't have border. Border is the outline, so it's okay, right? And then we have this as a border box, which is great. I think we can also make this a border box, which is great. And then now the thing is that we need to this span. Yeah, it's useful for us to measure the width as we grow. But it's a bit ugly and it's to me there, right? Um, so one thing we can do is that first of all, it's only shown in editing. Another thing that we can do is that a I think we can also add this over here. So every time when you have when this is shown, you will call this function in as well. Um, Hold on. I think all the variables are here. One thing you could do is that you can set the span invisible and not showing on the screen. Like so maybe the what you can do is opacity is 0, position is absolute. I think I would let me do position absolute first, and then you will see that it's actually somewhere untouched. Then you can have the um, opacity 0, uh, pointer events none. Basically, it's positioned somewhere. I hold on. Let me do this first. Top 0, left 0. So it's on top here. Actually, in a fixed position somewhere you can see somewhere within this element, but then you add opacity, then you can't really even see them. It's somewhere you can't see, um, and then you can't even touch. You can't click on it because pointer events. There's no events going into the span. Then it's an invisible span somewhere on the screen that you can't see, can't touch, and you use that to do a measurement, right? Of course, you can share all the cell. Maybe you just share one span to do that. That's one way as well. Here is just like all cell. When you do editing, you create one and then you just measure it, and then you as you type, it grow your inputs. As you leave, then you will just remove that span. Hold on. I think we need to do revert back the on blur right here. We used to have the on blur. Let's revert this change. Let's save this. Okay, so here now, if I change, come back, I will have this content. And you can see it kind of grows in size, which is great. Of course, the first thing, another thing you kind of need to do is that um, we also need the default, the the minimum size that you have, right? So the minimum size of each div, each column is kind of probably start somewhere um, in this fit, right? If I remember correctly, the component uh, column headers. Ah, a bit troublesome to find this out. Um, I think let's just measure it every time when you start editing. Okay. What we can do here is that whenever we start editing, right before we start editing, right? I mean, when you're editing, you call the start editing. Right before you do that, let's measure the width of this div. I think by now you probably will see that actually I don't have a very nice naming convention of my elements for my variables. I just make things works. I think here measure span, maybe I should just suffix it as element so that you know it's an element. Um, then cell element is the cell element over here. Once we have this, what I want to do with this cell element is that when I start editing, I should measure a bit on the width first. Um, width equals to this one. Every time when I start editing, I just measure because you never know what's the width. Because I haven't able to resize, but once I able to resize my column, then the width is a bit different every time. So just measure it, and before we start editing, we should measure it. And then here, over here, what we can do is the width is the math dot maximum of either the cell width or this formula, right? So if it's smaller than the cell width, then cell width is bigger than maximum of those is the cell width. And then if this grows beyond the cell width, then yeah, it's that. So here, if I, you can see if I double click, the width is kind of fixed now, as in minimum of this, and I type more, it grows. And then, yeah, if I try to delete, something wrong with my delete. Once I hit, it's clear. Right. Because here in my switch, I hit backspace, I delete everything. Ah, shit. I should say this. Okay, only there's no current, then I'll do it. So here I hit delete. Okay, so if I type more, if I type less, it grows smaller and smaller and smaller, and it does not go smaller than that. Right? You can grow more than that. It's smaller, 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 and smaller, and you hit enter. Okay, new line. Yeah, that's great. Yay! I think we kind of like do some polishing over this past 1.5 hour. I kind of like what we have ended so far. Um, able to delete things. Um, yep. Able to type and it grows bigger, and you hit enter. It's kind of like go to the next line, which is great. Let's see. What else? I think. So here, let me take a sip first. Okay, so here I think one thing we can do is that every time when you um see here, if I the thing grows beyond, right, the the lines now it's kind of overlap because this cell is bigger than the, yeah, I'm thinking how we can solve this. So this cell Each of this cell is drawn on top of each other. Um, so if you have more things, it's like overlapping. So this definitely needs to have a higher Z index than the cell in the left. Um, but at the same time, you don't want to cover it if you have nothing there, right? So one thing I can think of is, okay, so let me describe the problem again. So here, if I type, these two cells have contents and they are overlapping at each other right now, right? Uh, so one thing, yeah, and if you look at Google Sheet, if you type, you see that this is like this and this is like this. It's not overlapping. Uh-huh. So now it's overlapping. It's a bit hard to look at. One thing you could do is that set a Z index from the always set a Z index on all the cell. The right cell or the bottom cell has a Z index that's one up the current cell that you see. So one way you could do is that maybe in your suites, let's see whether we have the cell. Okay, no. In our cell, one thing you could do is that the cell Z index is equals to um the row. Okay, just show you, like, say for example the column, right? I think good enough because the column, right, one is one up. Let's save this. You can see that, oh, because there's no color in behind, right? Let's see. So for each cell we can have some background, right? Save this. Now immediately you can see it's one up and it um covers the one on the left. And also this two lines is being drawn by this column, by the next column, which is greater than the current column. Then you kind of hide the outline, right? Yeah, so not that nice. Let me remove the Z index first. Okay, now you can still, hey, actually, how does it work? Okay, once you focus on it, it has a higher Z index, right? Once you focus in a higher Z index, so this things on stays on top of one another. Um, okay. How should I do this? So you need to kind of know your width based on your neighbors, right? Your width needs to be, yeah, you can totally see that I never planned this out to figure this thing within this frame. It's all organic. So now I'm trying to see if I'm over here, I need to base on the width of my right column. Um, hello. Width of the right column. So if I don't have it, um, if I have something like as long as this one. Oh, it breaks over here. This expands, this breaks over here. So you kind of need to keep knowing the width of the cell, know the width of the cell value, and then it kind of able to grow past until it hits the next cell. I think it's quite, to be honest, I think there's too much that we can do within this live stream. Um, and honestly, if you look over to the right, stuck, it's stuck right now. My brain stops working now. I can't really think about how I can solve this thing. Um, in a nice manner, I think, and in within the time that we have, right? So I was just gonna say, let's think about this, and then we're gonna fix it or figure it out in the next live stream. So let's focus back. I mean, we kind of, if we're gonna go stay at the pace that we have, like every stream we kind of do a 22 hour ish kind of stream. We still have 20 minutes to last. Let's see what we can have for the last 20 minutes. I think one thing I want to I mean, since we are learning about Svelte, we're gonna do Svelte content. One thing I wanna do is that always shout out to cool things in Svelte. Um, uh, I do have a few things that I have in mind. The one is that, hold on, let me find it. Um, I mean, recently I found this channel. I haven't really looked into it, but it is doing. I From the looks of it, it feels like it's doing a lot of great content, like Svelte Kit Basics. There's so many videos about it. Um, Nicely done. Uh, Thumbnails. I mean, gosh, if you look at my thumbnails, it's like child's play compared to this. And then they also do live coding, right? Junta Bytes do some amazing live coding. Also working on some project, which is like a project discovery platform. Um, I feel like it's more consistent that I have. It has more things now. It has like 17 of this episode. Wow, every episode is like 3 to 4 hours. That's amazing. Just gonna do a shout out. um Hunta Bites. You hunt the bite, you can find this. I haven't really watched this. I'm gonna watch it, right? And I mean, I can learn from him as well. If you're gonna interested, you can also like um and yeah, just gonna post the links in the chat. And yeah, just we learn from each other. We all are in this felt community. We should, yeah, give each other a shout out and like grow together with this felt community. And speaking of that, I think I did a shout out the last time on these felt jobs as well. Hold on. Oh man, where's the hold on. Banners. I have this, save it somewhere. This one. Jobs. Hold on. Forgot it's colon. That's why it's not working. Spelled jobs. Um, do a shout out for them as well. If you are learning Svelte, you could figure things out in Svelte and you like Svelte and you want to continue working not just as a hobby project, you want to do it as a full-time software engineer with Svelte, well, check them out, right? Of course, it's not just for the uh, developers like you and me who like Svelte. It's also about people who hire other people to do Svelte, right? We are one community, Svelte community. You're not just like you do Svelte your own thing. If you want more people to help you on your project, can come hire, list your listing over here in Svelte jobs. It's like a portal that is just for Svelte. I mean, why not other portals? Well, I mean, you can go with other portals, but if you want um try and Svelte developers, I mean the just Svelte people, then you can come over here as well, because people who learn Svelte and really want to work on Svelte will of course come over here as well, right? So yeah, check it out. So kind of like drag delay this whole thing to 5 more minutes. With shout outs a few more people's. Um, Let me hide this thing. So um, and let's come back to our Excel sheet. Let's see what else. Nice simple polishing works that we can do. Um, let's see. If I select something. Oh yeah, I remember if I try to type formulas, right? And if I try to select a cell, it actually select the cell and then type in the formula like this for me, right? And then if I uh okay, I think that's a lot as well. That's definitely not feasible within a few minutes. I think let's stop for now, right? I think my brain is enough for this live stream. So, a few things that we have seen so far, right? One is like select formulas as you do. That's of course one thing we can explore. Next, just now you're saying like, your cell can grow until you hit. If you type something, it kind of like chop the cell content. That's one thing we should explore. So looking forward for the future Svelte weekend. So do a recap of what we've done so far. We are able to come in and then have a growing input, right? And then yeah, growing input. And then as you type a as you go into one cell and you key in something, then you immediately jump in and then go into the editing mode. Okay. And then if you finish, if you hit enter, you go next to the next cell. If you come over here to one cell, you hit delete, you delete that cell content. Um, Sounds not a lot, but yeah, I mean, within a 1 to 2 hours, it's okay, right? So that's all for this video, and see you in the next Svelte weekend. And hello and bye bye.